Welcome to the What You Need to H2Know podcast, where we feature the people, places, and projects in Ontario's water community. I'm Michelle Grenier, the Executive Director of the Ontario Waterworks Association, and I'm excited to kick off our new mini-series, Flowing into Leadership, for the month of February. In this special series, we're giving you the opportunity to meet the candidates running for the OWWA Board of Directors. Each episode will offer a 15-minute spotlight on the different candidates, exploring their journey into the water sector, their vision for the OWWA, and the unique perspectives they bring to our organization. Join us as we get to know the people who could help shape the future of Ontario's water community. Today, I'm excited to introduce Kathleen Farrow, also known as Kat, one of the candidates running for election to the OWWA board this year. So, hi Kat, good morning. Thanks for joining me here.
Hi, Michelle. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to help share more of your history and background with our listeners. And so, given that we don't have a ton of time this morning, I'm going to jump right into our questions. The first one is just to get us on track with your introductory and personal journey is, what first sparked your interest in the water industry?
I'm not sure it was just one thing. I guess it started as a young person. I grew up spending my summers on a very remote lake in Northern Ontario with my family, and they gave me full autonomy to explore. And I had a boat. By the time I was 10 or 12 years old, I was off exploring and fishing and living off the land as much as I could, and really prepared me for, a lot of things in life. But it also gave me that appreciation for the symbiosis between myself and people and nature, and learned that I always had to boil my water before I drank it, and knew why. So I think I grew up with the pledge that I was going to protect that lake so that my kids could enjoy it like I did. And so when it came, finished high school, I was a science nerd and an environmentalist. In the 90s, I was started the first recycling club and, turned off the taps when my parents left them running and things like that. But I took environmental biology because I wanted to work somewhere outside saving the planet. That was the plan. Anyway, long story longer. What took me to the water sector? I tried everything else first, I think. I graduated in a political climate that we had Bob Rae days. We were in a recession. The Harris government had shut down all environmental sector jobs. They even gave the ministry a written pass for so they wouldn't be charged if anything happened, because they couldn't keep up with their inspections at the time. There were no jobs in Canada for me, so I went to the States. I was very lucky to be hired by University of California, and I worked on atmospheric chemistry contracts, analyzing hydrocarbons for NASA, which took me all over the world. And when I was in Tahiti, I got very sick, like near death sick. And they flew in a doctor from Bora Bora, and he gave me a shot and put me on a round of antibiotics and said, this is very common. En français, of course. That's where I learned the most French. He said, this is very common. Fever, what did he call it? Fever typhoid. So typhoid fever. Made me realize that still exists. And came back to Canada, still couldn't find a job, started working in hunting and fishing as a retail manager. And one of my favorite customers and part-time pro staff was working at a wastewater treatment plant. I'm not going to mention names, but this person I owe my career to, I suppose, and he knows it. We were hunting buddies. We did a lot of work in the store together, and he said, Kath, give me your resume. Like, you should be working in the water and wastewater field. So that's what got me in. It took me about a year after that, and I got in as an OIT with Halton Region, and I worked as an operator for just over 13 years there and worked my way up to management and supervisor. So what sparked my interest, I guess, was all of that. And the fact that when I came back to Canada, Walkerton happened. So,
Yeah.
and we've always got to remember Walkerton and what we need to do to protect public health.
Yeah. What motivates you to continue working in the water sector, especially during challenging times?
Aside from Walkerton, and that's known, the unnecessary things that happened there. My children, all children, and the future children, grandchildren, etc. The future little humans that we get to leave this mess to one day. That motivates me.
Yeah, I think we're so lucky to be caretakers,
Mm-hmm.
of our water systems. So looking back, if you could go back and give advice to yourself at the start of your journey in the water industry, what would it be?
Gosh, so many things. But number one would be to not be afraid. Don't let your fear limit your possibilities. And it's okay to fail because you learn a lot from failing. And that you don't have to do it all at once. I didn't have all the answers. I didn't start my career until much later. And when you love what you do it really well. And you're bound to do it well because it's something you love to do. So find out what you love and do that.
Yeah, those are words of wisdom. And then looking ahead, where do you see yourself personally and professionally in 5 to 10 years? And how does that align with your passion for water?
I feel a responsibility to pass on my knowledge and share my experiences to help newcomers to the sector, to the water sector, overcome some of the challenges they have. Challenges are so much different than I had as a young person in the industry. In my current role with SEMA Plus, I get to mentor others and I get to do some training activities, but I'd really like to move into more education, operator training, advocating, that kind of thing. Sharing my passion.
Yep. Yep, that's awesome. When you think about your career and personal contributions, what legacy do you hope to leave in the water industry?
Legacy. Well, I started as an operator, so I would like to help promote operators. Operators come over, whether it's their own perceived limitations or limitations that they're facing, or just make systems better for those operators that want to be engaged in a higher level in a different way, and help them get involved in volunteering with OWWA and other associations, and working towards making systems better and innovating and technologies, bringing them into their systems. Operators know these systems better than anyone else. So
Yeah.
we should be tapping into that. See what
Yeah,
I did there?
absolutely. They're tapping into that. They are a huge part of our workforce. And yes, to your point, they are underrepresented in our association. So I think that's a great point. Thanks for sharing that. Along that same line then, if you could achieve one transformative change in the water sector during your career, what would it be and why is that important to you?
What's becoming more important to me is the state of smaller systems that I've seen on both working on the municipal side of things and on the private side of things. There's just not enough money to make the changes to the infrastructure that are required to keep the systems in compliance and provide enough safe water and provide the technologies that are required for operators to be able to manage systems, because they're usually in rural areas, vast amounts of real estate between stations, and operators are driving from station to station to station to station, trying to keep up with things. And I'm afraid things will fall through the cracks if we don't help support these smaller systems, and we don't want to go backwards.
Yeah, absolutely. And then maybe on a more personal level, what's one thing you hope people will remember about you for your role in the water industry?
I don't think, well, if they do remember me, I hope they remember me as someone who always tried their hardest to make things better.
Yeah, I think that's a
I
ambitious goal.
yeah.
Yeah. But I think, our association has certainly benefited from your involvement thus far and the passion you bring to your volunteer work. So tying it in a little bit more with OWWA specifically is, what does OWWA's mission mean to you, and how do you see your role in supporting that mission?
Well, the OWWA has always worked in line with the municipalities and utilities to provide safe drinking water, to protect human health. And since I was an OIT, I've, been bound by the very same values as the OWWA to ensure that public health is protected through our drinking water, and make sure that the drinking water is safe and sufficient and sustainable. That's the 3 S's. Yeah. And now I can focus on promoting education and improving systems with innovations, automation, and new technologies to make that easier for everyone to achieve.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you've already started answering my next question for you. But if there's anything you want to elaborate on, or if there's something else specifically that you wanted to share about your primary goals or aspirations serving as a board member of OWWA.
Well, as a board member, there's more support to bounce ideas off others and bring ideas to action, more or less. So, yeah, there's probably 3 things that I'd really like to focus on and can use the help and support from the OWWA board. Number 1 would be more operator engagement. Operators are the heartbeat of the systems, and they should be more involved. Number 2 is advocacy for smaller systems. And number 3 is education and community outreach to promote, not only to teach people where water comes from and how it's treated and what goes into, everything it takes to get that to your tap and to flush your toilets, but to understand that, like, as a young person, I didn't know about water sector careers. I didn't know that was one of the options until it kind of fell into my lap through, searching for what I was looking for. So getting the word out that there are careers in water and they can be really great and diverse. Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely need to do a better job of promoting, how great careers in water are. So building on all those goals, I guess I'd ask you to share with our listeners a bit about how you would plan to work with the other board members and OWWA members at large to advance your organization's objectives.
Well, I work well with others. No. Maybe not. No, I've been volunteering on the smaller committees for quite some time now, and I really enjoy the work that we do. And we do see a lot of change. We see a lot of progression in every area of what we do, with the little changes that we make on a smaller level. So, and the current members of the board are like the stellar working group of extraordinary, talented, energetic people. Collectively, I'm sure we can come up with ideas and put these ideas into action and see results that we can build on with more ideas in action. And there's hope that my contributions to this well-oiled idea and action factory will bring fresh perspective and evolution and growth to the membership and the water sector at large.
Yeah, I love this idea of the board as an idea factory. I haven't heard that one before, so I think they'll like that one. And we're getting to the end of our time here, and I just wanted to ask you one last question and say, is there anything else you'd like to take a minute or two to share about your vision for the OWWA or your candidacy for the board?
I'd just like to say thank you. I'd like to extend my deepest gratitude for this opportunity and the trust and support that I've received from all the people in my career and my life along the way.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think none of us get here alone. Right?
None of us get here alone. If I could list them all, I would, but I'd probably forget someone really important and then they'd be mad at me. So thank you, everyone. And I look forward to seeing what we will accomplish together.
Fantastic. Well, Kat, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. And to all our listeners, you'll be able to learn more about Kat and her experience and her background and her plans for the board in the next issue of Pipeline. Also in the AGM package, the notice for the annual general meeting, which will be coming to your inbox on or around March 18th. So be sure to keep an eye out for that. And other than that, we hope to see you at the AGM itself on May 5th in the town of the Blue Mountains when we kick off this year's annual conference. And so with that, I'll say thanks very much for listening. And as always, if you have any questions, you can reach us at waterinfo@owwa.ca. But thanks again, Kat. I hope you have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Cheers.
Cheers.